The 2025 Toyota 4Runner. It's finally out, and in this video I'm going to share with you everything you need to know regarding this brand new SUV, and I'm of course going to share with you my personal take from a 5th gen 4Runner owner's perspective. Towards the end, I'll even share with you what this new 4Runner can potentially cost and how you can save on the current 5th gens. Alright, let's get started. We have to start out with the looks. It's pretty much just like what we expected. They already teased the rear end, so roughly we knew what that was going to look like, and we can already tell that it was going to have the Tacoma front end, and that's essentially what we have here, but it's better than that. It has a more premium vibe than what the current Taco has regarding that front end. I kind of like the headlight design on this new 4Runner a little bit more. The side profile, it's pretty much what we expected, but that rear end, I'm surprised at how similar it looks to the 5th gen 4Runner's rear end. But obviously this one, a little bit more modern, a little bit more sleek, and I really like the taillight design as well. The overall machine just has a beefy look and demeanor to it, so I absolutely love that. They really nailed the looks of this, and we have new trim levels as well. So we have the base SR5, then we have the TRD Sport, TRD Sport Premium, TRD Off-Road, TRD Off-Road Premium, then we have the Limited, and we have a Platinum trim level. The Platinum is going to sit on top of the Limited. That's going to be your ultimate luxury version of the 4Runner, and then you have the TRD Pro and the Trail Hunter. And throughout the video I'll be sure to talk about the differences in all of those trims. But yeah, leave your thoughts below in the comment section regarding the looks of this new 4Runner. I definitely think it's a hit, and certainly an improvement over the 5th gen. At least that's what I think. But let's shift our focus more towards the objective side of things. They are going to retain that sliding rear window. We saw them tease that before in their social media posts. So we knew that this 4Runner would retain that sliding rear window. I mean, it would be pretty dumb of them to get rid of that feature because that's what everybody raves about regarding these vehicles. So glad that they retained that. The new 6th generation 4Runner also gets a power rear liftgate. With the current models, none of the 4Runners come with a power rear liftgate. Even if you got the top of the line limited 5th generation 4Runner, doesn't matter. It doesn't come with that feature. So now with these new 4Runners, you do get that. And other things to note, this vehicle will continue to be made in the Tahara plant in Japan. So yes, the 4Runner, it's still going to be a Japanese built vehicle. It's not going to be made in Mexico like the current Tacoma. Okay, but it shares a lot with the Tacoma because this new 4Runner, it's going to be built upon the TNGA-F global truck platform that's shared with the Tacoma, the new Land Cruiser, the Tundra, and the Sequoia. So this is a high-strength boxed steel ladder frame, and it's going to feature multi-link coil rear suspension along with double wishbone front suspension. Physically, they have increased the wheelbase of this new 4Runner by 2.4 inches compared to the 5th gens. Now this new 4Runner has a wheelbase of 112.2 inches. Overall, the 4Runner is about 5 inches longer in total length compared to the outgoing model, and it's about 2 inches wider as well. But the other thing is this new 4Runner sits a little bit lower. We have a 9.2 inch maximum ground clearance. That is 0.4 inches less than the current 5th gen. Regarding the 5th gen 4Runner, the maximum approach angle is 33 degrees and the departure angle is 26 degrees. With the new 2025 4Runner, the maximum approach angle is 32 degrees and the departure angle is 24. But I'm not really too surprised by this because I had a feeling Toyota would slightly compromise on the off-road capability and would even lower the new 4Runner. The reason why I knew this is because I'm sure Toyota would want to fix the one true drawback that the 5th gen 4Runner has in regard to driving, and that's going to be with its performance out on a truly windy day. Because the 5th gen 4Runner, it really gets persuaded by the wind, both at slower speeds and certainly out on the highway at higher speeds. You can really notice the vehicle swaying about on really windy days, and that's its only true drawback, because other than that, the current 4Runner, it handles way better than what the mainstream media would give it credit for. Like your everyday turning and your everyday body control is totally fine. And even the stability on a non-windy day is fine. I think I had a subscriber who commented saying that he was doing 100 miles an hour in his 4Runner Limited on a non-windy day and it wasn't an issue. And I believe that. So with these new 4Runner improvements, like making the wheelbase longer, increasing the width of the vehicle, and having the new 4Runner sit a little bit lower, all of that is going to improve in its stability. And naturally, because the 2025 4Runner utilizes the TNGA-F architecture, the handling is going to improve even more. It's going to feel a little bit flatter in the corners, and that nosedive that many people spoke of regarding the 5th gen 4Runner during hard braking, that should disappear with this new 6th gen. Other improvements, they've managed to increase the towing capability to 6,000 pounds, but I believe that's only when you get the iForce Max hybrid powertrain. So let's go ahead and let's move on to the drivetrains now. We'd have the 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine producing 278 horsepower and 317 pounds-feet of torque. It's going to be mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. That's going to be your base engine option. That's going to come with your SR5, your TRD Sport, your TRD Off-Road, and your limited trim levels. You're going to get this turbo 4-cylinder. Real world fuel economy is most likely not going to be that great with the new turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. If you look at the Tacomas, if you compare a TRD off-road 4x4 from 2023 to 2024, that 3.5 liter V6, Toyota claimed that it can do 18 in the city, 22 on the highway. A 2024 Tacoma with the turbo 4-cylinder, same trim level, is going to get you 19 in the city and 23 out on the highway. Literally a 1 mpg benefit, and they reduced the fuel tank by about 3 gallons. So you're just going to be stopping for fuel more often. Really, the main purpose behind these turbo engines is to reduce emissions for the company. It really has no real benefit to us, the consumer, but Toyota is claiming that you can put regular fuel in these turbo 4-cylinder engines, at least on the Tacoma. That's what they claim. But the reality is, a lot of these turbo engines, it's better if you can put premium fuel in it. So that's the sketchy part about turbo engines in regular consumer vehicles like this, especially the non-luxury ones, because if you had to put premium fuel in this turbo 4-cylinder Toyota product, it really defeats the purpose of that 1 mpg gain that you are getting. So Toyota does claim you can put regular in it, but I don't know about the longevity of this engine, but we'll have to see. You will also be able to get this vehicle in either rear-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, and as an option you have the iForce Max hybrid powertrain. That's going to be available with the TRD Off-Road and also available with the Limited as an option. But this iForce Max hybrid powertrain is going to be standard with the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, and the Platinum models. Okay, and this iForce Max hybrid powertrain, that's going to produce 326 horsepower and 465 pounds-feet of torque. This will also be mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And this hybrid powertrain, it's going to continue to utilize the turbo 4-cylinder engine with a 48 horsepower electric motor, but your combined output is, as I stated, 326 horsepower, 465 pounds-feet of torque. I'm sure these hybrid models are going to be a substantial increase in price, and I'll get to the price in a little bit. But also on the screen for you, I'm going to have the full Toyota press release so you can read up on it, you can screenshot it. This is where all the journalists get their information from, so if you look at this press release, you will know everything regarding the new 2025 4Runner. That's all the information that's available right now on these products, but I will continue here and break down the important things to you. So we know about the powertrains now, and we know about the suspension architecture. And I mentioned that the 4Runner will be available in rear-wheel drive, but much like the current 5th gen, you will be able to get part-time 4-wheel drive or full-time 4-wheel drive, depending on the trim level. Also, we get a newly available stabilizer bar disconnect mechanism, so you can increase your suspension articulation at the push of a button. So with the introduction of this new feature, I'm sure KDSS is no longer going to be a thing with the 2025 4Runner. You're also going to get the available multi-terrain monitor system and the multi-terrain select. And this new multi-terrain select system will now function in both 4-wheel drive high and 4-wheel drive low. And depending on the trim level and which 4-wheel drive system you get, your locking differentials and all that is going to change, and I have that listed on the screen for you. Let's go more in depth regarding these trims. Your top tier off-road models are going to be your TRD Pro and your Trail Hunter. From my understanding, I think that Trail Hunter is also going to be a top level model along with the TRD Pro. They're just going to do things in different ways. The TRD Pro should continue to excel in high speed desert runs, while the Trail Hunter is going to be more so for overlanding purposes. So both are top level, they just do different purposes, but I do like the Trail Hunter. Toyota apparently collaborated with a lot of off-road component companies to make the Trail Hunter the best that it can be. It's going to feature ARB's Old Man Emu 2.5-inch forged shocks with external piggyback remote reservoirs in the back. You're also going to get unique ARB roof racks with the Trail Hunter, and along with the OME shocks, you're going to get the 33-inch Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires. You're going to get a 2-inch lift in the front and a 1.5-inch lift in the rear with the Trail Hunter. You're also going to get that little snorkel on the side with the Trail Hunter, but that's not for deep water dives. That's more so to collect cleaner air, especially if you're in a desert-like situation. That's why that side snorkel is there. And as mentioned before, vehicles like the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, and the Platinum, they're going to come standard with the Hybrid Max powertrain. You're also going to get some additional accessories like a Heritage grille with the bronze Toyota lettering. You're going to get a 20-inch LED light bar with the Trail Hunter. You will get some rigid LED fog lamps and 2400 watt AC inverter both inside the cabin and in your rear cargo area as well. Alright, so that's the Trail Hunter, and I noticed that they got rid of the SR5 premium trim level, but in its place they gave you the TRD Sport and a TRD Sport Premium. We did not have a TRD Sport Premium model before, so that's going to be new. And regarding the Platinum trim level, you're going to get unique black exterior styling along with heated second row seats. You will be getting a standard tow tech package, a heads-up display, and automatic rain sensing wipers. Also for 2025, you will be able to get the third row seats as an option. And hopefully it will be more useful with this new 6th gen 4Runner because it's a physically larger vehicle, right? The interior space, it looks very similar to the current Tacoma interior, and that's not a surprise. So standard, you're going to get an 8-inch infotainment touchscreen, but as an option, you can get the 14-inch display. These infotainment systems are going to provide you with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. The wireless cell phone charging pad is going to be an option. You will be getting a 7-inch gauge cluster as standard, but a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster will be available with the higher trim levels. Standard, you will get things like smart key system with push button start. As an option, you are able to get that JBL audio system with the Flex speaker. We saw this with the new Tacoma, and I'm pleased to report with the new Toyotas, the JBL audio system genuinely does sound pretty good. With the current 5th gen 4Runners, the audio system is trash. Even if you get the JBL, it was just awful the way they had the audio systems programmed with the previous generation Toyota products like your Tacos, Tundras, and even my 4Runner. So with the newer Toyotas, like this new 4Runner, it should be way better audio quality. And that flex speaker system is pretty cool. You can take that speaker out from the front dash and you can use it outside of the vehicle. That is pretty cool. And if we look at the new Tacomas, they also made the interior space a little bit more refined. It's a quieter space by a few decibels actually. So we can expect the new 4Runner to also be a more refined and quieter driving experience, and that should also improve your audio quality as well. But yeah, overall I do like the interior space, but I will caution you, I highly doubt that the fit and finish is going to be on the same level as the 5th gen 4Runner. At least that's what I noticed with the new Tundras when that came out. It was like what you would call lipstick on a pig. The interior space looked good in the pictures and in video, but in real life, when you started to sit in the car and you started to poke around in a lot of these new Toyota and new Lexus interiors, they just lacked the quality and the solidity that the previous generation Toyota Lexus products had. So you know how everyone mocks and scoffs at the older Toyota Lexus interior spaces. They say that it's old and outdated, but one thing that they don't mention is the overall quality, the build, the fit and finish, the solidity. They don't mention those things when it comes to the previous generation Toyotas and Lexuses. That's part of the reason why I chose to buy the 5th gen 4Runner, because it had that indestructible type quality to the interior. It had that tank-like quality when you drive it, and I know a lot of that is going to be missing with these newer Toyotas. Sure, they look nice. Sure, it looks like an improvement on paper, but it's simply not going to be built the same. And really, at the end of the day, the reason why a lot of these multi-billion-dollar car companies can get away with this is because the consumers themselves co-sign the mediocrity. Okay, this new Temu, Alibaba generation of people, they're so used to disposable, low-quality products that they have such a low bar of expectation when it comes to quality, even in regard to automobiles that's going to cost you 5 figures, 6 figures. They don't care. They have such a low expectation, and they're just so used to disposable products. Most people, they're not aware of how things were built back in the 80s and early 90s, the way products used to feel back in the day. That's why you see people flipping vintage sewing machines and vintage electronics on eBay for $200, $300, $400, $500, thousands of dollars sometimes. Why? Because it's like how most people say, they don't make them like they used to, right? But this new generation, they just simply haven't handled those old school, high quality, durable and robust products. They're only used to this new cheap plastic world that we live in, right? So most people don't know better, or most people have forgotten the level of quality that we used to get back in the day. Yes, it's great that the new 4Runner is still made in Japan. However, a lot of people, they put a bit too much stock behind that, because if you look at the previous generation Tacos and Tundras, they were great in terms of reliability, and they also had the same robust build quality when it came to the interior space, just like with the 4Runner. So where it's built is not a big deal, but the general mind frame that Toyota had when producing the 5th gen 4Runner, the old Tacos, the old Tundras, it was just different from their new generation products, because I've even driven new Lexus products built in Japan that just lacked the solidity and the quality that they once had with their previous gen products. So it's across the board, doesn't matter if it's Toyota or Lexus. The new stuff just doesn't hold a candle to the solidity of their previous generation vehicles. Everything simply feels more flimsy now. Anyway, moving on from that, you're also going to get Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 as standard, so that's a great thing to see. It's going to include all of your useful safety tech, like your blind spot monitoring, your rear cross traffic alert, and of course you're going to get things like the pre-collision system with the pedestrian detection and many other features. Their safety tech is absolutely excellent. It works perfectly, and it's going to be a huge improvement over the 5th gen 4Runner's safety technology. Another big improvement that we should be expecting with the 6th gen 4Runner is going to be in regard to a crash test. Unfortunately, IIHS has not tested the new Tacoma yet in a crash test. However, the new Tundra is literally the safest new truck that you can buy. And obviously things like the new Land Cruiser, the Tacoma, the Sequoia, and this 6th Gen 4Runner is all utilizing that same TNGA-F architecture. So this new 4Runner should literally be an IIHS top safety pick. It should be night and day difference in terms of crash test safety compared to the 5th Gen 4Runner. The 5th Gen 4Runner is one of the least safest vehicles in a crash test because that body structure, it's essentially from 2010. They haven't changed it in 14 years. Honestly, even a JL Wrangler is safer in many ways compared to the 5th Gen 4Runner. The only difference is the Wranglers, they seem to still flip over in a crash test. But other than that, at least they improved the structure in many ways with the new Wranglers. They hadn't done that with the 4Runner in many years until now. That should be a big improvement. So in general, handling should be improved. The crash test safety should be improved. The stability, both naturally and both on a windy day, should truly be excellent. Those are going to be your main changes and your main upgrades that you should expect with a 2025 4Runner compared to the 5th generation. Now, I said that I would talk about pricing. So we don't have the official pricing yet for these new 4Runners, but we do know that it should go on sale sometime during the fall of 2024. But if you look at the Tacoma pricing, right, when you compare a 2023 Tacoma with the 2024 Tacoma pricing, you can do this by going on Edmunds. I love how Edmunds shows you the MSRP prices of previous model years. Not only do they show you the MSRPs, but they also show you the cost of the options for those previous years as well. So Edmunds is a really powerful resource. They show you the manufacturer specs along with the original manufacturer pricing. And if you compare the two model years of the Tacomas, the 2024s went up in price by approximately $3,000 across the board for every trim level. So we can expect the same with the new 4Runners. It should cost about $3,000 more than what the current 5th gens cost. But that's just the base pricing. Another thing to note regarding the 2024 Tacomas is the cost of the options has really been inflated. I know the Tacoma is a truck and it's a little bit different, but they kind of reduced certain features. Like even if you get a $50,000 Tacoma, it's missing some features that the 2023s came just naturally. Again, it's a truck, it's different. But yeah, in order to get back some of those features, like you have to add in these really overinflated options and trim packages. So not only is the MSRP $3,000 higher, you also have to add back in these really expensive packages, and that's gonna cost maybe $5,000 to $6,000 more than your equivalent 2023 Tacoma. So again, we can see that same thing kind of happen with the new 4Runner. I'm sure depending on the trim, you can see between $3,000 to $6,000 in price increase, and that iForce Max, that's going to be a substantial increase in price. You can maybe expect the TRD Pro and the Trail Hunter to be maybe $10,000 more expensive than the outgoing 5th generation 4Runners TRD Pro price, which is around $57,000. So expect the new 4Runner TRD Pro to maybe be $65,000, $67,000. I also promised to share with you how you can save on the current 5th gens while you still can. So personally, I was able to get my 2024 SR5 Premium 4x4 4Runner at $2,000 under invoice. How was I able to do that? I used an automotive broker by the name of Jim. You can see more of his information on the Leasehackr forum, but Jim is literally one of the largest Toyota brokers in the United States. He's got the best Toyota pricing available throughout the country. He's got dealerships in Pennsylvania and out on the West Coast as well. He offers nationwide shipping because he also has excellent shipping connects as well. Most of his shippers, they ship supercars, so you know that they're going to be insured and they're going to take care of your vehicle. I use Jim's service twice now and I've never had an issue with shipping. When I bought my new 4Runner from him, it cost me about $600 to get it shipped from Pennsylvania to North Carolina. Again, you don't have to use Jim. I'm just sharing him as a resource in case your local dealerships are like mine and they're just stingy and they're not coming down on their prices. Then you can reach out to Jim. He has a phone number. I'll have it on the screen for you. You just text him, tell him what you want, and he'll hook it up for you. He does charge a broker fee, but if you mention Meyn Motor Group, he promised to take $100 off of his broker fee for my audience that mentions my channel, Meyn Motor Group. Again, make sure that you're someone that knows how to follow directions properly. You read things thoroughly because you have to do things like sign paperwork, get things notarized. Potentially, you're gonna have to ship the paperwork back. So you need to stay on top of things. You need to be someone that can read and follow directions if you're gonna use services like Jim's. And the other thing, it's best if you don't represent other people. Like if you're gonna buy things for fickle family members, I would avoid that. I would really only reach out to a broker if you know you're gonna be buying a vehicle for yourself. All right, again, I'm just sharing Jim as a resource. He's the one that I used to get excellent deals on my Toyotas. The other thing is, if you're in the Southeast like I am, we have a separate bank known as Southeast Toyota Financial. That is totally different from Toyota Financial Services. And when you buy through Jim, he is able to get you deals through Toyota Financial Services. The reason why that's powerful is because they tend to offer better interest rates. Toyota Financial Services will offer more flexibility, like you can break your lease early, things like that. If you're in the Southeast like me, you don't get that level of flexibility and better interest rates. So it's impossible for me to replicate Jim's deals down in states like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, etc. because of the bank that we use down here. So there's a lot of benefits in using Jim. Also, it would be a wise move to lease the 5th gen 4Runner while you still can. Why? Because as of right now in 2024, we have some excellent subvented low interest rate leases going on, especially if you do a one-pay lease or if you do a multiple security deposit lease. In either of those instances, you can get pretty much a 2% interest rate lease. Why is that powerful? Because the majority of your payments actually goes towards the equity of the vehicle. So in 3 years' time, if you want to buy out your 5th gen 4Runner lease, you can do that. If you end up liking the product and you want something that can last the test of time, that you can keep outside of the warranty period, you can do that. Also, the other flexible aspect of a lease, especially a low interest rate lease on a high resale value vehicle like the 4Runner, is you're most likely going to have positive equity at the end of the lease. Especially if you look at the previous generation Tacoma and Tundra prices, they both shot up when the new generation Tacos and Tundras came out. So in a perfect world, we can expect the same with these 5th gen 4Runners. And with that positive equity at the end of the lease, you can do a couple of different things with that. Number one, you can just cash in on that positive equity and apply it to your next lease, most likely the 6th generation 4Runner. Because the good thing about leasing a 5th generation now is you get to avoid the hype and the overpriced 6th generation prices right now, because whenever a new Toyota product drops, it's going to sell for either MSRP or above MSRP. So it's best to let that hype cool off, and you can do that by taking advantage of the current 5th gens. All right, you lease that for 3 years. 3 years from now, you're able to purchase a 2028 4Runner. By that point, they most likely fixed any issues that the first 2 model years are going to have, because it's always best to avoid the first model years of any vehicle. So a 2028 4Runner should be more ironed out. It should be selling at a discount at that point, and there should be more subvented lease deals or subvented interest rates for you to take advantage of. So that's the power of leasing, especially when it comes to a high resale value product like the 4Runner. If you can get a lease on that at a low interest rate like what you can right now, it can lead to a lot of opportunities in the future because you as the consumer have so much flexibility, and a lot of that is possible through Toyota Financial Services and not any other bank. And there's of course other benefits to leasing, like God forbid you get into an accident and your vehicle becomes devalued. You don't have to be stuck with the vehicle that's lost value. You can just turn it in and not have to deal with any negative equity. There's just a lot of pros when it comes to a high resale value lease. You can pretty much be in perpetual equity, drive high MSRP vehicles like the 4Runner for next to nothing, not have to worry about repairs, maintenance, etc. So if you want to snag the tried and true 2024 4Runners while you still can, reach out to him and you can definitely save a lot of money. He's also got epic Tundra deals as well, like 10 grand off MSRP depending on the trim levels, and I think he's offering $5,000 off of MSRP on the Sequoias as well. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe because I try my best to give you information that the mainstream simply does not offer. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding this new 4Runner. Is this something that you want to purchase? Would you take this over the Land Cruiser? Because the Land Cruiser starts at about 55 grand, but keep in mind, it comes standard with the iForce Max powertrain. I recommend going with the Land Cruiser only if you're going to get it as a base model, because when you go with the higher trim versions of the Land Cruiser, you're going to be around 70 grand, and at that point I would rather just get a Premium Plus Lexus GX 550 for 70 grand. You know what I mean? So I would only buy these Toyota products like the 4Runners and the Land Cruisers if it's ideally under $60,000. So that's my thoughts. But thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.